Hi, I'm Brandon from Dorian Creech is Dead, and this is the story of Street Fighter II and how I fell in love with video game music, and maybe even music in general. For this story, we've got to go back to the very beginning, like all the way back to the beginning. Just a few days after I was born, my older brothers got a Super Nintendo for Christmas, and shortly after that got their hands on a copy of Street Fighter II Turbo. I have a lot of very early memories playing games like Battletoads and Double Dragon, Turtles in Time, Super Star Wars, Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures, Super Mario World, Batman Forever for some reason, Sunset Riders, and more, all on that Super Nintendo. But the first game I ever remember playing was Street Fighter II Turbo. In fact, when I first started playing video games, I remember playing Street Fighter II more than most of the other games we owned combined, except maybe Turtles in Time and Battletoads and Double Dragon. One Christmas, the day finally came when I received my very own console for the first time, the Sega Genesis. Now, my Genesis was given to me along with a handful of games, including Aladdin, The Lion King, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Jurassic Park Rampage Edition, all of which were incredible games. But it did feel like something was missing, and that something was Street Fighter II. A few weeks later, I would find myself at the Florida Mall with my family, as we would often go there on the weekends, and eventually we made our way into the GameStop near the JCPenney's entrance. That was when I saw it. Street Fighter II Special Champion Edition for the Sega Genesis. I picked it up and looked at it, and it was a used copy, loose cartridge for $3.99. When I picked it up, I also noticed that directly behind it was the Sega 6-pack with Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Revenge of Shinobi, Super Hang-On, Columns, and Sonic the Hedgehog for $5.99. I already had Sonic, but still, it was just too good of a deal to pass up. This felt like fate, because as chance would have it, I had an allowance of $10 a month. I went home that day with both Street Fighter II Champion Edition and the Sega 6-pack joining my modest collection of Genesis games. I lost countless hours to all of those games, particularly Street Fighter II Champion Edition, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage. I thought I was playing those particular games so much because my favorite genres were fighting games and beat-em-ups, especially when considering that my favorite SNES games at the time had been Street Fighter II Turbo, Turtles in Time, and Battletoads and Double Dragon. Looking back, I'm not so sure genre had very much to do with it at all. So what did those games have in common besides the genre? They all have soundtracks that absolutely rip. That's the one thing I have found in common with nearly every game I loved growing up. And in Street Fighter II's case, man, I had those songs stuck in my head throughout my entire childhood. Ryu's theme is iconic, and one of the first songs I ever learned how to play on bass. Chun-Li's theme is an earworm that I still can't get out of my head to this day. Ken's theme is, well, it was probably originally written as Guile's theme, and it was definitely stolen from Cheap Trick's song Mighty Wings from the Top Gun soundtrack, and then probably switched to Ken's theme to stave off a lawsuit, but it's so good. And Guile's theme? Shoot, man, Guile's theme goes with absolutely everything. It's my understanding that most of Street Fighter II's soundtrack was composed by the legendary Yoko Shimomora, who would go on to compose the music for Parasite Eve, the Mario and Luigi games, Final Fantasy XV, which may be my favorite Final Fantasy soundtrack. Don't shoot me, Uematsu fanboys, his soundtracks are great too, and the Kingdom Hearts games, which I've actually never played. Again, don't shoot me. I guess what I'm getting at is, music took me from my hometown of Orlando, Florida, to all over the country. I got to play shows with some of my all-time favorite bands, and really live out my dreams for a couple of years. And who knows, maybe someday I will again. But looking back at it today, I really don't think any of that would have happened without Yoko Shimomora and Street Fighter II.